Hey YouTube, it's your girl Dr. J, and I thought I would come and do a video on something that's become a larger part of our homeschool experience, and that's field trips. Now, I know a lot of people do field trips when they participate in co-ops. I know in my area we are starting to get these huge co-ops that have anywhere between 50 and 250 families that are a part of them. And oftentimes what happens is those field trips that are sponsored through co-ops tend to start looking like the field trips that you see in a traditional school setting, where you have 30, 40, 50 kids all packed into some place together. One or two kids get to go participate and do something cool. One or two kids get to go and ask questions. But for the most part, for most of the kids, it's going to be a really passive experience. What I am talking about is doing field trips where you book them for your family, your children, and maybe two or three other families that you associate with, and that allows you to have a much more interesting and intimate field trip experience. Sometimes people don't realize that they can go and call different businesses and organizations on their own behalf and ask them if they can do various tours and come in and get to talk with people who are doing certain jobs and that sort of stuff. A lot of people don't realize that you have an opportunity to do that, and because of that, they're missing out on these really cool experiences that their kids could be having. Especially when you have a child who has a particular interest in an area, or when you're studying something very specific, your child can go and really learn a lot about what's happening in their own community. Sometimes the thing that keeps parents from booking field trips is that they don't really know where to start. So I would say the way that you go to really build comfort is to start with the places that are used to having kids come and visit. That's going to be your local fire station, animal shelters, those places where they're used to kids coming in groups, and you just call them and ask if you can arrange a tour to take place. Let them know that it's going to just be 3, 4, maybe 10 kids, and they'll be happy to walk you through the process because they're so used to the process happening. So they know how to book the trip. They know how to arrange things and how much time it's going to take. So really all you have to do is make the initiative and set the date, and they'll be able to kind of take things over from there. That's going to be the best place to start, because it's really going to help you to build confidence in the process and to get more comfortable going out there on your own and having things happen. So I would say definitely start with those sort of trips. Once you get those sort of trips under your belt and you kind of know the process a little bit more, you'll know more what works best as far as time-wise for your family. Like, for instance, I know that trips that happen over lunchtime are just not a good thing for my kids because of their sensory processing issues. Whenever they're hungry or tired, things get out of kilter, so we just don't schedule trips over those sort of time frames. But you really start to get to know, okay, this is what works for us and this is what doesn't work for us. So you want to start with knowing your kids and knowing what's going to work best for your kids as far as time-wise. The next thing you want to look for is things that your children have an interest in. When your children are going to be interested in the topic, it really does help to make sure that they are going to, really get a lot out of it. Pay attention, be excited, really be into the process. Some places to start after you do those kind of traditional field trip experiences to your local fire station, that sort of thing, is you want to look for places that have an education department, because they're going to be prepared to have kids come, and they're going to have somebody who's assigned to talk to kids. A lot of times they'll have people that actually go out into the schools, so they'll be happy to have you come. For instance, I booked a tour of our local blood bank, and they didn't have, this was their first experience with like a small group of homeschoolers, but they were very used to going into the middle and high schools and talking to children about the process. So I talked with the coordinator and let them know that yes, these were going to be elementary level students, but here had been their exposure to the topic. They were very comfortable with the topic area. There weren't going to be any areas that she couldn't talk about, and so she got much more comfortable with doing that middle school kind of topic to presenting the information to a younger audience, and she was able to tailor her presentation to the kids, and it turned out to be phenomenal. She was really excited because the kids asked her really good questions because I had made sure that they were prepared. So we did a little bit of study on blood and that sort of thing, so that when she kind of asked them generalized questions, they could answer those questions, so she felt comfortable with the information that she was going to be providing to them. It was hands-on. She had them, make blood, like make plasma and all those sort of things. She took them around to the donation area and got permission to let them see somebody doing a plasma donation. And the kids got to walk past the refrigerated room to see where the storage was. So it was just really interesting for the kids. But the first thing I did was, make sure that I talked to somebody who was in the education department and who was very used to doing these sort of presentations for kids. So first start with companies and organizations that have an education department, because they're going to already have presentations prepared that are geared towards children. It's just that they may be more used to doing presentations to 30 or 40 children in a school, and they're going to be doing a presentation for 5 or 10 children in their office. And so it may take just a little bit of logistics on their part, but they're going to be very comfortable with it. You also want to be prepared to talk to them about what, why your kids want to tour, what sort of background work that you've done, so they'll be much more comfortable with kids coming to their locations. Another thing that you want to look for is you want to look for organizations that tend to already have people that come and tour on a regular basis. For instance, your local television stations. A lot of times they have links on their websites already prepared for people to come and do visits. So all you have to do is go on the website and arrange a visit. If you have any state or federally funded huge programs in your area, they're also going to have tours that are available. I know for us, we have a big state-funded robotics lab here in my area, about 45 minutes away from us. So we booked a tour there because they're used to people coming and touring. And so all I had to do was talk to them about, okay, these are the ages of the kids. Here are some of the background things that we've done with them. Here's also going to be the child to adult ratio. That's one thing that really gets you into doors that normally they wouldn't open for a traditional school. When you let them know that there's going to be a 2-to-1 or a 3-to-1 child-adult ratio, they're much more comfortable with the process. Because a lot of times when you have a school-based tour, you may have a 10-to-1 or a 20-to-1 ratio where there's going to be just one adult for every 20 kids. And so organizations do have to be a lot more strict because of insurance. It's very easy for a child to get hurt, to get lost, to trip and fall. But when you are going to be going into a situation and you're going to have, not just an adult, but a parent for every 2 to 3 children, people are much more comfortable because they know that you're going to be taking care of your own children. Nobody's going to get lost or anything like that. So they tend to be much more willing to open doors for you in that particular situation. Another thing that you want to do, you want to be prepared to tell them about your kids. Sometimes people just aren't used to dealing with homeschool families, so they don't really know, okay, what am I going to be dealing with? And they may have their own perceptions of what homeschooling is and what it's all about. So you want to go and you want to talk to them about, why it's important for you guys to visit, what they can expect from your children. What you're looking for. What sort of information are you looking for your children to learn? We've done, educational field trips in areas that you wouldn't expect. I know one family that we do a lot of field trips with. she booked a tour for us at a local ice cream shop. And you think, okay, that's just for fun. It was fun, but the kids actually got to make ice cream. It was a shop that actually does makes ice cream in the facility. So that was really educational because they got a chance to see the process taking place right there. They got a chance to be involved in the process. They got to see how making it in the shop differs from making it at home and that sort of stuff. So that was a fun trip, but it was still, everybody got a lot out of it. So you also want to look at places that do have tours that are generally geared towards traditional schools, because you can still take advantage of those sort of things. For instance, you can do different plays and performances. A lot of times there's a school performance for a local for different plays and things that come into your area, and you can just call and just let them know that you're a homeschooler and can you have so many seats available for your family as well. So it's just a matter of getting out there, getting over those fears of rejection, and going ahead and starting booking the trips. I would say that in my experience, I tend to be told yes, we can have a tour about 75% of the time. And the 25% of the time when I'm told no, that we can't arrange a tour, is usually companies that just have never had children under the age of 18 on their facility, at their facility, and they're just not sure if their insurance will cover that sort of thing, or if they are a facility where they have a lot of security requirements and they don't really know how much it would take to get everybody through security, or if they're a facility where they really just don't have any sort of speakers bureau, any sort of education aspects, and they just don't know how they would talk to children about their organization. And I don't give them a hard time. I say thank you so much, we really appreciate it, and that's it. So I don't make them feel guilty for it, because if it's not a good fit, it's not a good fit. I mean, I don't want my children to have to suffer through a presentation that somebody doesn't want to give, or suffer through a tour and people are showing them the break room, or showing them the copy machine, because they really don't know how to talk about their organization. So it's best for everybody to get a no up front than to have somebody put together a tour that is just not going to be beneficial to your family. But the yeses that I have gotten have been amazing. We have had some of the best, most informative field trips. I mean, it has just been astonishing, the opportunities that we've had with government organizations, nonprofit organizations, for-profit companies. I mean, just kind of the entire spectrum we've been able to see up close and personal. And because my field trips tend to be very small, my kids get an opportunity to have all of their questions answered. All of our field trips tend to be extremely hands-on. And also, when you only take 10 kids, they will find goodie bags to give your kids. So my kids have gotten all kind of neat bags and pens and pencils and all that kind of cool stuff too. So that makes it fun as well. And if you have a small group, they tend to be much more relaxed and much more comfortable. And I have found that the smaller the group, the more polished the presentation you get, because they tend to bring in the president of the company for 5 minutes, or bring in this engineer or that physicist or something like that. They'll be willing to come into the room for 5 or 10 minutes and just wave hi and tell this small group of kids what they do, rather than feeling like they're going to have to spend half their day talking to 50 kids. So it actually works better for us as well as the organization. Sometimes a facility can't handle 50 kids, but they can handle 5. They can handle 10. So I've been able to get yeses to go on different tours that even traditional schools can't get into. So I would say just be brave and make those calls. Think about what you're studying and what organizations in your area do those sort of things. If you're studying the human body, go and try to get a tour at a local hospital. If you're studying animals, go to your local humane society. If you're studying, doing some, robotics type activities, go and try to find a robotics center. If you're studying weather, Go and do a tour of your local television station and get, 5 minutes with the meteorologist. A lot of times they'll even let you book a tour over a live taping time so you can see a live taping in process. If you have a child who's interested in dance or acting, go and try to get a tour with the local production company who's doing a ballet performance or a stage performance. Just whatever just think outside the book as much as possible, and you will be amazed at how many people will open their doors and let you in, and it will expand what your child believes that they have available, what doors are available to them. I once heard a quote, and I forget who said it, who said a child can't be what they can't see. And the big thing is that it's our job as homeschool parents to make sure that our children see as many different roles that they can play in life as possible, so they don't feel like they're limited, and they can see that they can go as high, as far, as wide as they would like to go in their future. So I hope this helps. This is Dr. J, and I'm out. Bye-bye.